After 4 years in which millions and millions of illegal aliens poured across our borders, totally unvetted and unchecked, we now have the strongest and most secure border in American history by far. In the past 9 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States. But we will always allow people to come in legally, people that will love our country and will work hard to maintain our country. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
President Trump in the State of the Union address last night saying his immigration policies have led to the most secure border in American history. U.S. Customs and Border Protection reporting a record drop in border encounters between fiscal year 24 and 25, over 1.5 million. Joining me now is former acting ICE director and former federal prosecutor Jonathan Fahey. Jonathan, great to see you. Thanks for joining the conversation. Your reaction to the president's remarks?
I think the overall speech was fantastic. He hit on all the right notes and did so, in a very optimistic way. But particularly on the immigration thing, think if we went back a year ago, would anyone have believed that we would have a 95% reduction at the border, crime, murders at record low? And it's all because of this immigration policy. And it was so great that he called the Democrats out on this, because it's like that is the question of our time, really. Do you put illegal aliens first, or do you put the American citizens first? It should be an easy question. And I think one of the things overall with this speech, all of President Trump's policies break down to really common sense. If you break every single one of them down, and then you have the Democrats on the other side, I think the visual with Mark Kelly just sort of, there's some shame in what they did with the open border. And I think, seeing them pouting, seeing them sulking, the other side, optimism, patriotism, great visuals.
And, of course, we're with the former Speaker of the House this morning. And Kevin, the only Democrat that I saw stand up consistently was John Fetterman.
Yeah. And he was in a suit.
Yeah, it's true.
That's the only time you're ever going to see it. But that's respectful. You got to give him credit. That is respect. He sat in the front row. He doesn't like to wear a suit. He wore a suit because he knew what the State of the Union meant. And he didn't care what his party said. He put America first, and he would stand up. And I got to give you a lot of credit. You were one of the first reporters that would go to the border. And when you would look across, you would see the cartel.
Right.
You watch what they were controlling our country. Yeah. And it is amazing in less than a year what they've been able to accomplish. And what happened in Mexico, in Puerto Vallarta, it's again, President Trump was right.
Yeah.
How do those Democrats sit back? Why we have Americans stranded in Mexico and they can't get out because the cartels have taken over the street.
Yeah, and I'm worried. I mean, I did. I went to the border 6 times.
Yes.
I was so grateful to go to the border and actually see what was taking place there up close and personal. But in the Wall Street Journal this morning, new information this morning from the Journal that the White House is considering an executive order requiring banks to collect citizenship information from customers in order to open accounts. Jonathan, will it work?
I think this is phenomenal. Anything you can do to disincentivize illegal immigration is going to be effective. And you see, as again, contrast with the Biden administration, everything they did was to incentivize, encourage illegal immigration and prevent deportations. But if you think about it, the Democrats were okay debanking political opponents, we certainly should be able to not let somebody that's not here legally get a bank account. And the other thing that's really important, if you look at the amount of remittances going back to these countries, I think Mexico's 50, 60 billion a year. So it's like, why are we allowing this? Why do we want this to happen? And I think overall, it's great, but everything you could do to disincentivize it, and again, he also talked about sanctuary cities, take away the incentive, you take away the illegal aliens, and Americans prosper more.
Yeah, by the way, talking about debanking, talking about Jack Smith's investigation, you were a victim of that as well. We're going to get back to that. They wanted your phone records.
No, they didn't want it. They got it.
They got the phone records.
And they lied. They said I was a risk to leave the country when I had security around me 24 hours.
Sitting Speaker of the House.
They had to know where I was. Yeah, but he wouldn't say it was my phone. He hid the fact for people to even know.
That is how incredible and just terrible the Jack Smith investigation. A sitting Speaker of the House. Yeah. He demands
17
his
days
phone
after
records.
becoming Speaker, he went after my phone.
These are just the abuses we know about.
But
we would have never known it had President Trump not become president.
The abuses are so significant, and we need to see accountability here. But that's another conversation. I got to get back to Mexico. You just mentioned dozens of American tourists remain stranded in Mexico this morning after being told to shelter in place, Jonathan, after violence broke broke out. You saw what happened. It was a military operation to take down the country's most wanted drug leader, El Mencho. The president commented on the situation last night. I want to get your reaction to this. Watch.
We're also restoring American security and dominance in the Western Hemisphere, acting to secure our national interests and defend our country from violence, drugs, terrorism, and foreign interference. For years, large swaths of territory in our region, including large parts of Mexico, really large parts of Mexico, have been controlled by murderous drug cartels. That's why I designated these cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And with our new military campaign, we have stopped record amounts of drugs coming into our country and virtually stopped it completely coming in by water or sea. You probably noticed that.
Taking down El Mencho was big. I believe he was the leading drug cartel czar, trafficking cocaine and fentanyl into America. Your reaction?
And human trafficking. And so all of this, it's so important because if you compare to the Biden administration, where the cartels had their best 4 years, they were making, these cartels were bringing in like upwards of $40 billion a year. That's pretty good when you don't have to pay any taxes. And these governments were terrified of them. And now President Trump has set the tone with these governments, Mexico and anywhere else. You're either going to be on Team USA or you're going to have a lot of problems. And I think this just shows, and we need a sustained effort. But, when you talk about the successes, it's not just the amount of fentanyl that's not coming in, but you look at the overdose deaths, we are significantly down just this year. We averaged 102,000 per year under Biden. We're down, it's probably going to come in around low to mid 70s this year. So tremendous success there as well.
Yeah, and I don't like calling it overdose deaths. I like calling it poisoning.
Yes,
because this is a poisoning of American citizens.
The number one killer of Americans between the ages of 18 and 45, your most productive years. And we do need to give John Ratcliffe credit at the CIA, Kane over at our Joint Chiefs, the way they have worked together with the military, with our intel, what they did in Venezuela, what they're doing now here. And you're right, they've got so much money, these cartels, and what they do with the money, they bought weapons. They have better weapons than the military in Mexico. And these are right along our borders. We watched what they would do shooting across.
Spot on everything. Jonathan, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Good to see you. Jonathan Fahey, stay with us. We'll be right back.